Listen, have you ever just went out searching for something, looking for something? You didn't know what it was, but you had an idea. And so maybe you bought it or you visited it or you called them. And that was exactly what you needed. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever just ran into something or heard a message that you said, oh my gosh, that is the same thing I believe, or that is the same thing I think, or I've been said that. And then you start, extracting and researching and pulling everything that this person has ever done because they get you, they understand you, even though you've never met maybe. Maybe they said it in a way that you've been saying it, but not how they said it. That's what I want to speak about today, y'all. I read this book. If you have not read it and you're listening to this podcast, you need to get it. It is called Tribes. We Need You. I'm going to show it to all my cameras here. We Need You to Lead Us by Seth Godin. Seth Godin or Godin, I'm not sure. But I read this book months ago. I couldn't put it down because it was talking about me. If you go back to all of my podcast episodes, I have given you example after example after example of pretty much everything that he's spoken about or written about in this book. And so I'm like, you are talking directly to me. This is what I've been trying to say, but he just said it so much more eloquently. Here is an excerpt from his book, okay? So here we are. We live in a world where we have the leverage to make things happen, the desire to do work we believe in, and a marketplace that is begging us to be remarkable. And yet, in the middle of these changes, we still get stuck following archaic rules, stuck in industries that not only avoid change, but actively fight it. Do you hear that? Stuck in industries that not only avoid change, but actively fight it. Even if that change is for betterment, it's for improvement, they still fight it. Why is that? I speak about this. Stuck in fear of what our boss will say. Stuck because we're afraid we'll get into trouble. Now, that's one thing I never experienced. I was never fearful of management. I was never fearful. I don't like to say boss, but I was never fearful. I was the one that went ahead and asked, went ahead and said it. I wasn't fearful, but in the back of your head, I always tried to plan it out. Okay, if I say this, then they'll probably say this, right? I always tried to think ahead. It was never fear, though. Then it says, most of all, we're stuck acting like managers or employees instead of like the leaders we could become. We're embracing a factory. We're embracing a factory instead of a tribe. We're stuck acting like managers and employees instead of like leaders. There is a difference. In the workplace, there are multiple types of people based off their actions and their reactions. Some employees will do anything that's requested of them, anything, whether they disagree with it, where it goes against company policies, procedures, where it goes against their own morals, they'll still go out and do it and then, be upset about it or, complain about it, maybe not even say anything and just go ahead and do it. That was not me. That was not me. I did have limits. I did have boundaries. There were some people in there that would allow their manager to speak to them any kind of way. That was never me. And I'm not saying that I'm better than them at all. I don't know what they were going through, but they allowed it. So they were in fear. And in those instances, this is what he's referring to, in my opinion, is They're embracing a factory instead of a tribe. A factory is do this, do that. You'll be punished if you don't. Tribe is, what is the problem with this? What do you think about it? Is there a way to improve this? If I let you be in charge of this, how would you improve it? That's more of a tribe mindset. Okay, so let me continue. It says, how was your day? Is a question that matters a lot more than it seems. And when I read that, that's part of my workshop facilitation. That is an important question that is not always asked in the workplace. Managers, are you asking your staff, how was your day? Employees, are you answering the question? Are you open to answering it? And what happens is sometimes the relationship is already strained. And so managers are trying to pull information out of you that's not welcomed or respected because you really don't care, because the manager probably really doesn't care. They're not concerned. And they've shown that by their actions previously. Okay, so he goes on to say, how was your day is a question that matters a lot more than it seems. It turns out that people who like their jobs the most are also the ones who are doing the best work, making the greatest impact, and changing the most. Now, this is only page 11, y'all. This is only page 11, and it's touching on so many different pieces and aspects that I've been speaking about in all of my episodes of my podcast. He gets me. He understands me. He's speaking to me. He's talking about me. Is he talking about you? Can you relate to any of this at all? How many of you are entrepreneurs only because of your experiences in the workplace? You said, I can't take any more of this. Whether it was how you were being treated or the policies or the expectations. Many entrepreneurs, and I'll have to go back and find a statistic on this, but many entrepreneurs are pushed in that direction because of their experiences in the workplace. Many enjoyed jobs that they had. They enjoyed the roles, they enjoyed the responsibilities. But it was the people or the manager or the rules or the lies or HR, the politics of it all. I had a position. I was at an establishment for over 10 years, and I truly enjoyed my job because I was helping people. I was solving problems. I truly enjoyed it, but the atmosphere, the culture. It says changing the way they see the world, sure, but also changing the world. That's exactly what KimUnity Soulutions is all about. It's about creating that positive change in the workplace where it permeates outside of those office walls. Because we spend far too much time in the workplace to be miserable, to be unhappy. We're dreading it, waking up in the morning. We're dreading it as we're getting our children ready for school. We're dreading it on our way to work. We're praying for strength and for and for wisdom and for the proper words. And then we're disappointed, we're dissatisfied when we're in there. And then on the way home, we're in traffic and we're trying to decompress before we get home to our families or to our solitude, to our peace. And have to do it every single time throughout the week. Or if it's remote, just waking up and just being present. It says, by challenging the status quo, a cadre of heretics is discovering that one person, just one, can make a huge difference. And let me go back to what I was saying. we're going through these routines of dissatisfaction, and it's being played out, and that energy, that negative energy is being transferred into all these different environments, into our social settings, into our personal lives. And so this whole podcast is talking about these challenges in hopes that, and not just hopes, but in action, that we make the proper changes in the workplace so that when we leave the workplace, we are better humans. We are better people. We are treating each other cordially, respectfully. That energy is transferred. We carry it with us. It's like perfume. That scent follows you. It's with you. It's on you. By challenging the status quo, a cadre of heretics is discovering that one person, just one, can make a huge difference. Are you that one person that's making the difference? And if you are, know that you're not always going to be thanked. You're not always going to be acknowledged. That was me. Some people did say, "Oh, thank you, Kim. I'm glad that you addressed that." But not everyone is going to say that, even though they too are benefiting from what has occurred, from what change you've made possible. In the instance that I'm referring to was with a manager that we had to go back and forth because what she put in my performance evaluation was inaccurate, and dare I say, a straight up lie. And so I had to challenge her and say, "No, I need this change." And so I said, "Okay, well, what is the next step? We need to, we going to your manager isn't," how do I say this honestly? And it was always going to be honest, right? But honestly, and not no shade. What am I trying to say? Respectfully, I guess respectfully. But they were buddy buddy. And so I already know that that's your buddy. So us escalating it to your buddy, I know it's not going to be unbiased. That's what I'll say. It would have been biased. So we went straight to HR. I went straight to HR, like, this is not right. I need this change. There's no evidence of this. It was never discussed. This is my first time hearing of it. This is the end of the year. And so she changed it. But again, the next year, she wrote the same thing. It's like, "Oh, you didn't learn. Okay, I need this change before I leave today. Like, this has to be changed." And then at some point, I had to escalate it all the way to the CEO. This actually happened the first time. And thankfully, I had a CEO who was a real leader. I have these cards. They're called questions and perspectives. These are conversation cards that will be perfect in your workplace. I've been talking about building connection with the people that you are around in your workplace, even at home, at church. These are clean. The deck, as you can see, if you're watching this on visually, they fit in your hand. So they're convenient to carry with you. There's over 100 questions in here that you can use in the workplace to help you build that connection. Some of you have to rebuild what you have already broken. And so by doing this, shows your team that, okay, you care. And it's not, what I really love about these cards I've created is that I made them for me, right? There are so many people out here that believe that, they're introverts. That's why they don't want to contribute to the conversation. Or somebody told them that they are antisocial, when really they're not. They're bored. They're bored. They want real conversation. They don't want small talk. How was your weekend? No, because now I feel like you're trying to get in my business. But when you pull out these conversation cards and everyone can have a chance to answer and respond, and you are allowing them to unveil what they want to unveil, to share what they want to share. They can go as shallow as they want or as deep as they want, and you're learning something as you go. You're learning something about them, and they're learning more about you, and you're giving them the opportunity. It's getting away from all the metrics and the KPIs and the numbers. You're only approaching them, when you need something. You're only approaching your team when you want to know the status of something or to notify them of a meeting or something they did wrong. No. Speak to them like they're a human. Show them that you care. Value their perspectives without judgment. This is not about judgment. This is creating a safe space. This is about beginning anew, learning something new about the people you are with. It could be even with your own family. I asked my children and I was shocked at some of the answers. One question that's on here says, what's something you really wanted but glad you didn't receive? You will be amazed at the different answers people are sharing. You will be surprised. Go to QandPcards.com. It's for questions and perspectives. Q, the letter Q, A-N-D, the letter P, cards.com. And you can order your deck of conversation cards today. Get connected. Rebuild the connection. You are missing something in your team. Whether your team has told you or not, you better get these cards. The managers below may not have been, not all of them. But he was a leader. And what happens is, what a lot of people don't know is, the people at the top rarely know what's going on in the middle or below that. They never know. It's very rare that they come down to hear what's really going on, to see it, to observe it, to feel it. And once they do see that change is needed, they'll go ahead and make the change. And that's exactly what he did. She was terminated. So I mentioned a word, and when I'm not clear on a word, or when I want it to be clarity, when I want you to really understand what's going on, I seek the definition. Okay, so for heretic, says a person holding an opinion at odds with what is generally accepted. So they're basically going against the grain. And I don't like that phrase, going against the grain, because it sounds like a negative action. It sounds like rebellion, when really it could be just a great idea. It doesn't have to be this negative force. It could be a positive force. Okay. So it says a person holding an opinion at odds with what is generally accepted. Prime example, the example I just gave you about me not wanting to escalate something to my manager's manager, because I know it was unbiased. I know I wasn't, from previous experience, from seeing what other people had went through, I knew that wasn't going to be the best solution. It wouldn't be the best solution. I'll just leave it like that. And so that was that was going against generally accepted principles. You're supposed to go up the chain of command. Why? Not disrespectfully, but why not just go to the person that can resolve the problem unbiasedly? If you are really about what you say, if you really believe in, hey, this is a wrong, you don't need anybody else to fight for you or to give you more points or to, you don't need it. You can stand on your own facts. And so that's basically what I did. And so this book, again, Tribes, I'm talking about the book Tribes. I'm showing it to both of my cameras here, by Seth Godin. We need you to lead us. If you are in the workplace, if you are in management, if you are in leadership, if you are in HR, I suggest that you all read this, because you're losing some great people. You have went through, the hiring process and the onboarding process, and you have, read through these resumes, you have interviewed, you have found some great people, but they're not treated as such once they get in the workplace. You want them to behave like a factory, when really they want to share their new ideas. They want to bring in the experiences that they've had that can benefit you and your organization, and they're getting shunned, and they're getting punished, and they're getting written up, and their reputation is being tarnished because they have a great idea, but now they want to be classified as a know-it-all, or someone who always has a question or a suggestion, and so eyes get rolled, and they get avoided. It doesn't happen everywhere, but it does happen. It does happen. So it's important for the managers and the leadership to be trained and to understand that it's not about ego, it's not about competition, it's about betterment of the organization. And when the organization, improves, that department is stronger. The employee morale is increased. These are things we have to think about. Now, mind you, what I have just read are only 2 paragraphs, one from page 10 and 11, and there's so much more to go within this. But I definitely wanted to share that with you. So now you know what a heretic is. And I'm just going to go through some great points that he put in this book, and I suggest you all read it. And this is just basically going to be like, I guess, a book review of tribes. In this book, he also mentioned that everyone should lead. I totally agree with that. I am for that. Leadership is not just at the top. If it's just at the top, you're doing something wrong. If it's just at the top, that means that you're insecure. There are other people that are bringing ideas and concepts to the table without a title. They don't need a title. I could care less about your title. I say it all the time. Your title only determines your level of pay, not your level of respect, not your level of knowledge. We could get so much farther if we all put our perspectives and ideas together in order to move something. It's about movement. It's about forward progress. It's about growth. Everyone should lead. Yes, everyone should lead. Don't put all that weight on one person. And especially the way that the hierarchy is in the workplace, there's one person at the top and all these, lines and people at the bottom. Then there's another top with other people. That org chart needs to be revamped for real. The org chart needs to be revamped because there's leaders in all levels. Stay tuned for part 2 of this episode.